Neptune retrograde is ending 2 days later on December 10th at 7:21 a.m. Eastern Time. As I mentioned before, we've already talked about what Neptune has been up to a few times. So you can find other videos on my YouTube channel. You can check out my blog as well for getting the breakdown of more deeply what it means to have Neptune where it currently is in Pisces and what it means to have it in Aries, which is where I will be returning in honestly not that long. Exciting. So Neptune on the high level, planet of deception, illusion. Pisces is dreams, gullibility, expansion. Jupiter rules boundless. And then we have Aries, which is competitive, focused, passionate. Retrogrades, for the quick recap, retrogrades in general are a review period. But for Neptune, just as we talked about for Saturn, and as we will continue to talk about for Uranus and all of these planets that are preparing to finish out these final degrees of a sign that they spent many, many years in and re-enter a new sign, not only is it a review of those final degree points, but this is a review on the entire time that it was in this sign. Let's think about the whole thing. These are the final checks on what's going on. And this is really the final degree. Like we're really hovering right at the end. So that carries an extra ending intensity. So we're wrapping up this big chapter. So the next time, for everyone's reference, the next time that Neptune is going to be in Pisces is 2175. So when I say this is the end, this is the end. So we care about what's happening right there, and we care about what happened previously. All of the months, all of the years, what was Neptune in Pisces bringing forward for us as individuals, and because it's an outer planet, what was it doing to the collective? We can think about that too. Just for specific references of checkpoints, if you want to look back at my videos and blog posts, I recommend going back to March, which is when it first ingressed into Aries, and then in July as well. So I have some, I think that my memory serves, I think it was July 4th. Maybe that's when it stationed retrograde. So those are the 2 months that I would check. You can also see anything in between. So for this next month, aka December 10th through January 26th of 2026, that is the time that it's going to be finishing out in Pisces. Not that long. So when we say final checks, it's like, yeah, final checks, and we're going to be running up out of there and going into the next sign. So with Neptune, and this is a great example, we were talking about what are the minutes. This is less than 1 degree point. This is a subdivision of a single degree. So it's at 29 and change. So you're like, it's at the end. It's not at the end. It's so close to the end. So it's moving through a subdivision of a single degree over the next month and 2 weeks. So we want to pay attention to everything that comes through intuitively because Neptune is connected to our intuition. So do we have any final messages, final words of wisdom? Does anything pop up in our dreams? Neptune rules dreams as well. If we experience any sort of self-doubt or delusion, maybe jot some of those things down and we can revisit them later when it gets out of Pisces and realize, hold on, that was Neptune. That's not actually what's true. That's not actually how I feel about it. And ultimately, when we're looking back, we can start the process of looking back at Neptune through Pisces, but we have to know that because we're still in it, because it's still foggy, it will be clearer in 2020, hindsight 2020. Once we get out of it and Neptune is back in Aries, it'll be significantly easier for us to look more critically at what we learned and what happened as a result of Neptune in Pisces. Essentially, gear up to reflect. If you want to start it now, great. If not, put a pin in it. Put a little reminder for yourself. Wait until the 27th of January and take a beat and say, all right, well, What were those years like? What were those years like for me? Not even just this past year, not even just the past several months. We can look back at a much longer period of time.